What's up guys, it's Ryan here, and welcome to this complete solo beginner's guide to Taraket the Necromancer. This is the second boss in Elite Dungeon 3. Some info about the boss is displayed on screen. Feel free to take a look. One thing I am going to note is that the boss has 400,000 life points, but there's an asterisk there because there are many heal phases that are unskippable. In the end with this boss fight, you will not be taking a lot of damage yourself, but you should have to deal between 600 and 800,000 damage. I know that may sound a little intimidating, but as we get into the boss fight, you'll see that for most of it, you will not be taking heavy damage, and you can go as slow or as fast as you'd like. This is the gear I used for this guide. I'm using full bandos, a Masuda's War Spear, as well as Twin Fury Blades. I've got a Scrimshaw of Vampirism, Cinderbane Gloves, and my amulet is the Salve Amulet E from the Haunted Mine quest. If you can get your hands on this amulet, it will give you 20% extra damage and accuracy against this boss. With this gear setup, I was able to go slow and steady and get a full kill while only using 8 food. I also brought a War Tortoise just in case of emergencies, but I didn't end up needing it. People are often critical that I use DPS auras in beginner guides, so for this video as well as the Ambassador guide, I've decided not to use any auras at all. That being said, I would still strongly recommend using a DPS aura if you have one. As for your invent setup, let's get into it. This video is brought to you by Blue Blubber Jellyfish. Hello everyone, I'm Ryan from Blue Blubber Jellyfish, and I'm here to tell you today that there is a way that you can restore your life points without draining your adrenaline or your stats. It's just like a sailfish or a rocktail, except that you eat it in 3 bites and it won't drain your adrenaline. If you're having trouble dealing damage because your adrenaline is always low because you're always eating, try a Blue Blubber Jellyfish. Can also be combo eaten in the same tick as a Saradomin brew. We have thousands of happy customers around the world, and as we say, if you haven't gone blue, you blew it. Before we get into the mechanics, this is what you should do with your overhead prayers. Taraket attacks with both ranged and magic. You're going to want to protect from magic by default, and you're going to want to pray deflect missiles whenever the boss uses death swiftness. There's a lot going on in this boss fight, and you'll be attacked by multiple enemies at a time. It's important to focus and align your overhead prayers to what Taraket is using. This boss has 3 separate mechanics: the skeleton portals, the bloat, and the undead surge. We're going to go through all of these in detail, and then after that, I'm going to talk about managing the boss fight, and we're going to go through an entire kill start to finish. The first mechanic we're going to look at is the skeleton portal. Taraket will summon a skeleton portal every X seconds. The first portal will normally spawn around 20 seconds into the boss fight, and then the one after that will be 1 minute later. After that, the interval increases to about 1:30 seconds per. When this portal spawns, it should be focused on immediately, as if this portal is not killed in time, the player will be hit for 7,000 damage. These portals are priority number 1 during the boss fight, as they spawn undead warriors and archers. These undead only have 2,000 life points and can be easily cleared with area of effect attacks, but they can hit quite hard. When this portal spawns, you're going to want to attack it pretty much right off the bat. That'll give you as much time as possible to finish it off. As you can see right below it, there's an adrenaline bar, and if that bar reaches all the way empty, you're going to end up getting hit by 7,000 damage or more. There are going to be skeletons continuously coming out of this portal, and it's a good idea to put on something with halberd range like a Masuda's War Spear, a Dragon Rider Lance, a Crystal Halberd, or a Noxious Scythe to take care of them. This way you can deal with the portal while also attacking the Necromancer and all the surrounding enemies. 3 abilities that come to mind are Quake, Meteor Strike, and Hurricane. At later points of the boss fight, if you're particularly unlucky, you can have a lot of things going on at the same time. It's important to focus on this portal before dealing with anything else. Once you've taken care of the portal, you can handle the minions and anything else attacking you afterwards. The second attack we're going to look at is the bloat. Once Taraket hits 200,000 life points, he will walk to the obelisk and summon a bloat. The bloat attacks with melee and has 90,000 life points. After the first bloat dies, Taraket will heal back above 200,000 life points, and he will summon a second bloat from the opposite side of the room the second time he goes under this HP. One of the bloats is called a corpse carrier and will spawn undead minions, and the other one won't. The bloats are priority number 2 during the boss fight behind the undead portal. Once I phase the boss to 200,000 life points for the first time, Taraket is going to fly over to one of the 2 sides of the room. If he flies to the east side of the room, you're going to get the bloat, and if Taraket flies to the west side of the room, you're going to get the corpse carrier that spawns skeletons. If you haven't seen an undead portal in a while, I'd advise using an ultimate like Berserk on the bloat, as well as moving him closer to Taraket so you can attack both Taraket and the bloat at the same time. In this instance, before I was able to finish off the bloat, I got another portal. Because the bloat was low life points, I elected to finish him off before getting back on the portal. If the bloat is high in life points, the portal is your number 1 priority, so deal with the portal first. As soon as you can get back on the portal, you're going to want to do that. Make sure to use your area of effect attacks like Hurricane as I did there to clear out all the skeletons. When you get Taraket down to 200,000 life points for the second time, you're going to get whichever bloat you didn't get the first time. In this case, I've got the corpse carrier. Every time he swings at me, a horde of skeletons will spawn underneath him. I'm going to go back to the middle of the room in case I get a portal. And as you can see, I do end up getting one. At this point, the portal becomes priority number 1, and I'm going to ignore the corpse carrier for now. I'm going to deal damage to the portal and get the portal down before it explodes. It's also important to use my area of effect attacks to try and limit the number of skeletons spawning. I'm still focused on prayer flicking for Taraket's attacks and making sure that as soon as the death swiftness comes out, I'm praying deflect missiles. And I'm focusing on the portal before I take out the bloat. I'm going to mention that this is the least lucky configuration you can get. It's the worst, it's the most challenging, and it's completely down to luck to determine if you're going to get it or not. For the most part, this shouldn't happen, but if it does, hopefully with this video, you'll know what to do. Once the portal's down, I'm going to finish off the corpse carrier and finish off the remaining skeletons as well. If too many skeletons spawn in, the Necromancer is going to heal, but I wouldn't even worry about that. The number of mechanics you get is limited anyway, so if the boss heals up, it's not the end of the world. The third and final mechanic is the Undead Surge. When Taraket is close to death and you finished off both bloats, he will spawn a row of undead legions who will walk in a straight line, damaging anything in their path. It hits a rapid 2,000 damage. When they spawn, they will hit you with a 5k plus melee attack that can be resonanced. This attack happens twice in rapid succession. Let's take a look. The Necromancer is going to say your efforts are meaningless and you're going to see a row of undead spawn. At this point, you want to use the resonance ability and run in the direction of the backs of the spawn. This will heal you for 5,000 or 6,000 damage. At this point, you'll be prepared for the second set, and if you attack the boss like I did there, it's going to move in the opposite direction from the first set. This second set is a lot easier to dodge because you know to expect it. When it comes out, all you need to do is simply click to the opposite side and you won't get hit. It's also a good idea just to eat up for this part. It doesn't hurt and you're close to the end of the boss fight anyway. Play it safe. This boss fight is all about managing a bunch of things at a time. The suggested priority order for what to attack is as follows. You want to start off by focusing any skeleton portals you see. After that, attack the bloats, and following the bloats, you want to attack the skeleton minions. When there aren't too many skeleton minions left, you can start working on whittling away at Taraket's life points. So long as you take it slow and you follow this priority order, you will not take a lot of damage. It seems like a lot going on at this point, but let's take a look at the entire kill and put it all together. Let's go through all of it in detail from start to finish. When you're geared, pot up and begin attacking the boss. I'd recommend stalling adrenaline so you can start with a berserk rotation. It's not needed, but it will speed up your boss fight by quite a bit. Especially with the extra damage from the Salve Amulet E, I was hitting really hard even without an aura. The first mechanic is a portal, spawning around the 20-second mark. The second it spawns, you're going to switch targets and get on it. You're going to notice that the boss just used Death Swiftness, so I'm going to swap to Deflect Missiles and continue attacking. There may be a lot going on, but it's as simple as dealing with the distractions and then getting back on the boss. As you can see here, my Scrimshaw of Vampirism is pretty much completely sustaining everything. I'm not using any defensive abilities, and I don't need to eat either. As soon as the boss reaches 200,000 life points, he's going to become unattackable for a little bit, so you want to basically just stall Adren. As soon as the bloat spawns, you can either use Berserk or a threshold rotation on him. It's also good to bring the bloat back to the middle of the room, as if done correctly, you can get everything in a pile and kill multiple birds with one stone. Back to the priority sequence we set earlier. As soon as the portal spawns, we're going to want to get on there as quick as possible. You're going to notice that the boss is now using ranged again, and I'm praying deflect missiles on time. You'll notice if you're not praying correctly, as your life points are going to drop very quickly. As soon as I've dealt with the portal and the skeletons, I'm going to get back on the boss for a short time. I choose to use Berserk here, but you don't really have to. If you'd like to soul slit flick, you can do that, but for the most part of this boss fight, I didn't bother. We're just about to hit 200,000 life points, which means we're just about to get our second and final bloat. At this point, you'll notice that I haven't had a portal for a while. If I was willing to be a little more patient, I could have stayed off the Necromancer for a moment, waited for the portal spawn, destroyed the portal, and then phased to 200,000 life points, and I would have avoided this whole situation where I had multiple things attacking me at the same time. But it's up to you. It depends what you want to prioritize, and if you want things to be a little quicker, you'll go right through with it. That being said, if you ever try out this boss and you end up in Death's office or running out of food, I would strongly recommend waiting for those portals before you hit every 200,000 life point threshold. It'll make everything a lot easier and you'll use significantly fewer supplies. I've now dealt with the bloat, I've dealt with the portal, and I've got another portal spawn afterwards as well. You'll also notice that the boss has done an uber heal, and that's really not a big deal. After using Meteor Strike on the surrounding minions, the Necromancer, and the portal, I'm going to build up to Berserk. I let my HP get pretty low here, and that's intentional, as soon as the servants spawn, I know I'm going to get a resonance to full. If you're not comfortable with that at the start for your first kills, don't bother with it. Keep your life points nice and high, especially if you're using the Blue Blubber Jellyfish and Brew combination to allow you to eat up safely without losing adrenaline. In just a second here, the servants are going to spawn, I'm going to get a resonance on the first one, and I'm going to sidestep the second one. Another portal is going to spawn, and as you can see, it's a pretty repetitive boss fight, and I'm not using a ton of supplies. So long as you don't panic and you don't target the wrong thing, you're going to have a very easy time with this boss fight, although it might take a couple tries to iron out the kinks. As always, practice makes perfect with any boss fight you're doing, and at this point, I have soloed the Necromancer 45 times, so I've pretty well got it down. Don't expect to get it perfect on your first go, and best of luck hunting down this boss. I'm going to get one more set of 2 Undead Surges, and then I'm going to cruise my way to the finish line and the end of the boss fight. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to get you guys a solo ambassador guide in this exact same gear that should be out in a couple days. I've already recorded all the background footage, and it's looking really good so far. So anyway, guys, as always, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, the comment section down below is the place for those. Also, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Best of luck in Elite Dungeon 3. Have a good one, and as always, peace out.